Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Houston Zoo's Facebook Live. Sorry, we've been having some technical difficulties. My name is Ashley. I'm a primate keeper here at the Houston Zoo, and I have Kayla here with me, who is going to help me do an ice pop toss for our gorilla group. So we're going to do an ice pop toss real quick for them. So these are what they're getting, today. So they'll get some sort of sugar-free Kool-Aid or tea or juice. And then some sort of add-in. Today they've got some bird seed in them. And so typically whenever we feed these guys, we cooperatively feed when they're on exhibit. So we try and spread them out so that they're not all in one area at the same time so that everybody can get some. So Kayla is on one end and she's gonna try and get a couple of them to go over there. And then I'll have hopefully a couple over here. Henry, you gonna go over there? Okay. And sometimes they're all about the ice pops and other times they don't really care. Apparently today, there we go. Well. So this is our bachelor group, and we have 5 males that make up our bachelor group now. We have 2 adult males. Chaka is the oldest. He is 35 years old. Then we have Ajari, who is 19. And then we have 3 juvenile males, which are our newest members to the Houston Zoo. They all came last year around this time, a little earlier. And they are Henry and Liam and TJ. And Henry is 9, TJ is 8, and Liam is 7 years old. So these guys can live into their 50s and 60s in captivity. So they have a really long lifespan. So Chaka is kind of considered middle-aged at 35, and then everybody else is still pretty vibrant and young. Liam is our smallest. He is about 115 pounds, and Ajari is our largest, and he is about 407 pounds. So these guys can vary in shapes and sizes. Some are taller, some are shorter, just like we are. And Liam has become Ajari's right-hand man, and they are now best friends. So a lot of times you'll see the big and the little hanging out together throughout the day. Yes. And then TJ just really likes to play. So he'll play with anybody that'll play with him. And Chaka is kind of in more the retirement phase and would really rather just hang out and be on the outskirts of things with everybody else and let them do all of the playing and the roughhousing. So these guys are vegetarians, so they don't eat any meat. They eat a lot of lettuce. So we get about 50 pounds of lettuce for both the bachelor group and the family group every day. And then they'll get celery, and then they'll get fruits, and they'll get vegetables. They'll get browse that our wonderful horticulture staff cuts down for us. And that's just more food that they can eat. They can obviously also eat any of the trees that are in the exhibit with them, which the younger males have decided to go ahead and do, and they enjoy climbing the trees that they can climb as well. And then they'll get some sort of forage item every day. So we've got popcorn that they can get figs, currants, sunflower seeds, cereal. We'll change it up every day, and so then the forage will typically get scattered with the rest of their food, or we can use it in different enrichment devices. So primates are really smart. Great apes are especially smart. So gorillas are one species of great ape, and so we give them enrichment throughout the day, multiple times a day. So a lot of them are puzzle feeders and things that they'll have to figure out. So they may have to find a tool in order to get the food out, or they have to figure out how to manipulate the item to get the food out. That way it takes them a little bit longer. So not any one individual can get all of the food, but then it also makes them think about it and they have to work a little bit for their food. So it's fun for them, and a little bit more challenging, and then helps us so that everybody gets their fair share of the food. These guys are also incredibly smart, so we do train with them every day. So we're never in the same physical space with them. There's always mesh between us and them. Like I said, Ajari is 407 pounds, so these guys are large and incredibly strong. So they're about 7 to 8 times stronger than a human. So even if they weren't intending to harm us, they could accidentally, even if they were trying to play. So we're never in the same space with them. So whenever we train them, there's mesh between us and them, and they know a lot of different body parts that they can present. So we can ask them for basically everything from their heads down to their toes and in between. And then we can keep an eye on them. We can get a good check on them, make sure everything looks good. We can have them open their mouth so we can check out their teeth and their gums and make sure everything looks good there. And then if they do get any wounds, then it's helpful for us. They help us with their care. So that say they had a wound on their shoulder, we can ask them for their shoulder. They can present it to the mesh, and then we can either flush it out with a solution, or we can use Q-tips that we can wipe it clean just to try and keep it clean as it's healing. So it's fun for them, but it's very helpful for us with their medical care that they get here at the zoo. So that is, we've got Henry, who's in front of the tree, and Chaka is hanging out in the back. And tomorrow is actually going to be Henry's 10th birthday. So we are going to throw him a birthday party. So that's one other type of enrichment that we like to do for our animals here. And it's fun for keepers as well, is to come up with a theme for the birthday party. And then we get to give them all kinds of extra fun enrichment that day that they can interact with and play with. So it's fun for them, but it's also a lot of fun for us to watch them have their party. So tomorrow he will be 10 years old, so we're gonna throw him a party outside on exhibit. So you can see them doing some flybys right now. So this bachelor group is new, so they just all got put together in March. So they're still working out their hierarchy. So gorilla groups, typically, a typical family is one adult male, multiple females, and any offspring. And then bachelor groups form as kind of a transition phase for them in the wild. So when they leave their natal group that they were born in, then they form these bachelor groups with other lone males that are also in that kind of transition phase. So then they still have the social interaction that they like, because gorillas are incredibly social. But then they also have safety in numbers. So from any predators or anything like that, then they've got some friends that can help them if they need it. So we had initially, Ajari and Chaka were in a bachelor group together, and then we got Henry, Liam, and TJ, and we introduced those three. And so we had 2 different bachelor groups, and then we introduced the 2 groups together. So they're still working out who's in charge. Henry likes to test his boundaries a lot. Ajari seems to be the one that's probably the likely candidate that's going to become the dominant male for the group. But Chaka hasn't quite decided if he wants to let go of his reign of being in charge. So Henry likes to see what he can get away with. So he does the typical chest beating and flybys and displays and things to see how far he can kind of push the envelope with Ajari and Chaka, and see where he kind of fits in the hierarchy. So our family group, which you may see out here later, we have 2 separate groups. So typically the bachelor group will be out in the morning, and then we'll have the family group outside in the afternoons. Our family group consists of Mike is our male, and then we have Holly and Binti and Angel. And so they all stay together. Mike doesn't rotate between groups. None of the other males go in with the family group. Mike is the male that stays with them. So they are 2 distinct groups that you'll see. So you'll see one or the other. So we got a question from Sean, and he wanted to know if gorillas are endangered. And that is a great question. Gorillas are critically endangered in the wild. So their biggest threat is habitat loss, so habitat destruction. So that is causing them to be on the critically endangered list because there's 4 subspecies of gorillas. We have western lowland gorillas, and so there are distinct areas where each subspecies of gorillas live. So habitat loss can affect one subspecies more than the other, but they are all critically endangered right now. And one easy way you guys can help save gorillas in the wild is by recycling any old cell phones or electronics that you have at home. So there is a mineral in all of our electronics and our cell phones. It's called either coltan or tantalum. So there's a piece that has that mineral in it. And the more times we buy cell phones, then the more they need to mine for that mineral. So the more we can recycle, then they can take that piece out, and then the less they have to take from the wild and mine for. So we have drop boxes at the Houston Zoo that you can bring any iPods, MP3 players, camcorders, cell phones, anything like that that you have sitting in a drawer that you're done with. You can bring it and you can drop them in those boxes, and then we will recycle it for you. And now you're probably going to see, oh, now they're going to eat. These 3 like to play a lot. So right now you guys are looking at our 3 younger males. So TJ is up front and Henry is in the middle, and Liam is hanging out behind that bush right there. Henry is 9, TJ is 8, and Liam is 6. And then Ajari is also hiding somewhere, I think up there near them. And Chaka is hanging out over in the shade now, relaxing. So we are fortunate enough to partner with a lot of great organizations here at the Houston Zoo. And one of the groups that we work with is the Gorilla Doctors. So they do a lot of really awesome work to help save gorillas in the wild. So they are a group of medical vet staff that go out into the wild, and they work with the rangers that track the gorillas, and they follow them. And if they see anyone that seems like they're sick or if they have an injury, then they can call the Gorilla Doctors, and they go out with them, and then they assess the individuals, and they'll do sedations in the field. So they're able to administer medication if they just think they need some medication. If they have a wound, they can clean their wounds, and then they can keep an eye on them and hopefully help prolong all of their lives for all of the individual groups in the wild. So our largest gorilla is Ajari. So he is 407 pounds. So he is a big guy. Henry, who is hanging out right here in front of the tree, is about 235 pounds. And Liam is our smallest for the bachelor group, and he is about 115 pounds. Oliver would like to know, how much do they eat in one day? So that's a great question. We get a lot of food. So for each of our groups, we get about 50 pounds of lettuce a day. So we'll get some type of either romaine or iceberg, red cabbage, green cabbage, Napa cabbage, and then they'll get vegetable and fruit. They'll get a primate biscuit, and then they'll get celery every day as well. So each individual has a specific diet that they get a set amount that will weigh out for their fruit and for their biscuits. So their fruit is the highest value item. So we want to make sure that we're hand feeding that, and we typically use their fruit whenever we're training them. And then their biscuit has got all the other minerals and proteins and vitamins in it to round out their diet. And so we also want to make sure they all get everything that they need. So they get their biscuits hand fed to them whenever we train them and use their fruit as well. And then everything else for their veggie and their celery and their lettuce, we will do as a forage scatter feed that we'll feed together. So across the whole exhibit, we'll scatter out their lettuce and their celery in the morning. So then they have to forage for it. So most of gorillas' time spent is looking for food and foraging, eating, and then resting. And then for these guys, as you can see right now, playing. So they are younger, so they still like to play a lot. And Ajari is basically a big kid, so he also loves to play with these 3 newer guys. So right now you're watching Liam and Henry playing. And they play just like kids do at home. They will laugh, so you may hear them if you're up closer. You can't hear them laugh, but they really like to play with each other. And Ajari loves to play with everybody as well. And TJ, we'll try and get him to play all day long if he will. And right now you can see a big old softie playing with TJ. And now Liam sees them, so he's probably going to go join in too because he doesn't want to be left out of all the fun. And now it's nap time. A lot of people ask if gorillas swim. So we have a pool. None of them like the pool too much other than TJ. We learned likes to splash around and play in the water. The rest of them, for the most part, just leave it alone and don't really do a whole lot. But we did see TJ swimming in it the other day when it was nice and hot here in Houston. And now it's time to lounge in the shade. Thank you guys for tuning in. The Houston Zoo Fund is still going if anybody would like to donate. Thank you to everyone that has donated so far to help us. And our next Facebook Live will be Tuesday at 11 a.m. So make sure to tune in then. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.